In the previous video, we have seen some interview questions on the non-access modifier final keyword. So this is completed now. In this video, we will see what are Java interfaces. So what is an interface? In the previous videos, we have seen what is abstraction. Abstraction is hiding the implementation details but providing only the functionality to the user, and we can have abstract classes to get the abstraction functionality, but abstract classes may not provide 100% abstraction, because these abstract classes may also contain concrete methods in addition to the abstract methods. So they provide a functionality, abstract functionality between 0 to 100%. But interfaces, they provide 100% abstraction. That means whatever the methods that we define in interfaces, they are fully abstract. So how to declare an interface? An interface looks like a class, but it is not really a class. An interface can have methods and variables just like the class, but the methods declared in interface are by default abstract. So we will define an interface with the keyword interface, and we will give a name to this interface. Let's say demo interface. And in the brackets, we will declare the methods, but we don't provide any body for those methods. For example, I will declare two methods here. One is public void test1, and I don't declare any body for this one. And second one is public void test2. So this is how we declare an interface. We'll declare it with the keyword interface, and we'll give a name to the interface, and we declare the methods within the body of the interface, but we don't implement these methods in the interface. So how do we get the functionality for these methods? Just like abstract classes, this interface also we need to have a class that implements this interface. We need to have a class that implements this interface, and in that class we have to provide the implementation for these methods. If it is an abstract class, we have to extend the class for the child class. So this is extends keyword, but for interfaces we use implements keyword. So we have to define a class and we have to implement this interface, and we can provide functionality for these methods. Let's see this one more time. So what is an interface in Java? We have seen what is abstraction in the previous videos. What is abstraction? Abstraction is hiding the implementation details but providing useful functionality to the users. And we can achieve abstraction using abstract classes, but using abstract classes we may not be able to achieve 100% abstraction, because abstract classes can contain concrete methods in addition to the abstract methods. So we may not be able to achieve 100% abstraction, but interfaces are the ones which give us 100% abstraction, and interfaces will contain methods which are abstract only. That means we don't have any implementation for the methods defined in interfaces. So how do we declare an interface? Interface is like a class, but it is not a class. It starts with the keyword interface, and we give a name to that interface, and we will declare the methods in the body of the interface, but we don't provide any implementation for those methods. We just say public void test1 and public void test2. So how do we get implementation for these methods? For abstract classes, we will create a child class, and using the extends keywords, we will make this class as parent class, so that all the abstract methods will be inherited to the child class and we will implement them in the child class. But for interfaces, we use the keyword implements. We don't use the keyword extends here. We use the keyword implements. We create a class and we will implement this interface, and we will implement the methods here. There is one thing you have to remember here. Here we don't provide the keyword abstract, but since these methods are in an interface, these methods are by default abstract. Even though we don't provide any abstract keyword here, these methods are by default abstract. Now let us see an example for this one. I am creating a new package here. Package. I'll say interfaces package. So I have created a new package here, and now I want to create an interface. So right click on this one, go to new, and you will see something like interface here. So click on that interface. Give a name to the interface. I am giving the name as demo interface, and click on finish. So now an interface is created here. So public interface, demo interface. Here I am creating two methods here. One is public void test method 1, and another one is public void test method 2. So I have declared these two methods here, and I am not providing any implementation for these methods because they are defined in interface. And moreover, even though we don't declare the keyword abstract here, these are by default, these two methods are abstract because they are in an interface. Now let's create a class. I am creating a new class here, and the class name is class for interface, and I am using main method also. Click on finish. Okay, now the class is created, but I want to implement the interface that we have created here. So I have to use the keyword implements demo interface. So now I am implementing this demo interface. Now it is showing an error here. The error is the type class interface, that means the class that we have created here must implement the inherited abstract method demo interface method test1. So it is saying that you have to implement the methods of this interface. So let's implement the methods of the interface. The first one is public void test. Let us see what is this one. So test method 1. So test method 1. So I will just print out sysout. I am the first method from interface. So save this one. Still it is showing the error. Now it is saying that the type class interface must implement the inherited abstract method demo interface dot test method 2. Now it is asking us to implement the second abstract method. So let's implement the second abstract method. So I am just copying this one, pasting it, and I will change this method name to test method 2, and I am the second method from the interface. So if you see, now the error is gone because we have implemented both the methods, test method 1 and test method 2. So now I can create an object and access these two methods. So what I will do is, I can create an object like class for interface CFI equals to new class for interface. So I have created an object here, and what I will do is, now using this object I will access the method test method 1 and CFI dot test method 2. So now I am accessing both of these methods. So here what I have done is I have created an object for this class, but normally when you have interfaces, we normally create an object, like we don't use the class here. What we will do is we will create an object of the interface type. So the interface here is demo interface. We create an object for this class only, but this is an object of this interface type. So we use an interface name here instead of this class name. That means demo interface CFI is equal to new class for interface. We use the interface name here. We don't use the class name like this. There is a reason why we do it like this. This normally we will see it when we discuss the collections framework, why we use an interface name instead of a class name when we are implementing any interfaces. But for now, just remember that when we are implementing any interface, for creating an object of the class, we create an object of the class only, but it is of the interface type because we use an interface name here. So now let us run this one. Right click, run as Java application, proceed. Okay, now it is showing I am the first method from the interface, I am the second method from the interface. So this is how we work with interfaces. Now let us say we have two interfaces. One is interface 1 and another one is interface 2, and we also have a class here. So when we want to get the methods of this interface to the class, we will implement this one. We use implements keyword. But let's say we want to get these methods of interface 1 into interface 2. So we should not use this implements keyword here. We should use the extends keyword here. So when we use extends keyword, all these methods will be accessible in interface 2, and we will implement it with a class, and all the methods will come to class. So both interface methods from interface 1 and methods from interface 2 will come into this class. So this is one example. And another one is, let's say we have two interfaces. One is interface 1 and another one is interface 2, and we have a class here. Let's say instead of doing it like this, I would like to get all the methods from interface 1 and interface 2. So this time what we have to do is we can just say implements interface 1 comma interface 2. So this is what we can do. So the point we have to remember here is, between interfaces we use extends keyword. From class to interface we use implements keyword. Let us see an example on this one. Here I will be using the same programs that we have created earlier, and I have one interface here and I have a class here, and now I am creating another interface here. So new interface, I will give this interface name as demo interface 1 and click on finish. So in this one I create one method which is public void, I'll just say test1, and I don't implement this one. Okay, now this is the interface I have created. Now to access this interface from this interface, demo interface, what I have to do, I have to extend this one, extends demo interface. Now I have extended this interface demo interface 1 from demo interface. So now if you see, this class is throwing an error because when we created this class we had only this interface, which is demo interface in our case. So we have implemented the methods of only this demo interface here, but now we are extending this interface to another interface, demo interface 1. It contains one more method now. It contains one more method. So we have to implement this one more method also in this class. That's why this class is throwing an error. So the error is the type class for interface must implement the inherited abstract method demo interface 1 dot test. This demo interface 1 is a newly created one. So let us implement that method as well. We'll say public void, the method is test1, and I'll say sysout I belong to another interface. Now the error is gone, and using this object you can access this method, and let's run this one. Run as Java application. Now it is printing these statements also. I belong to another interface. Okay, so now we have seen how to extend one interface to another interface. Now we will see this one. This one we have interface 1 and interface 2, and we would like to implement both of these interfaces from a class. So we have to use implements interface 1 comma interface 2. I will use the same interfaces I have created. One is demo interface and another one is demo interface 1. So now what I will do is I will just remove this extends demo interface 1. So this is a separate interface and this is a separate interface. And now if you see, this class is throwing an error because we have implemented a method here, okay, and we are calling this method using the object created, and it cannot find out what this method is because we haven't implemented this one. What we can do is just implements demo interface 1 and put a comma here, demo interface 1. This still throws an error because whatever the object that we are creating, this is an object of this demo interface type. This is not an object of this demo interface 1 type. So we have to create another object here which is of type demo interface cfi1 equals to new. I have to use the second interface, so it is demo interface 1. So cfi1 equals to new class for interface, and I have to use the object cfi1 dot test1. Now the error goes away. What we have done is we have created another object which is of the second interface type, this demo interface 1 type. So now I can call this test1 method using the second object. Let us run this one. Run as Java application. Proceed. Okay, so now it is printing the statements again. It is printing both the statements. I am the first method from the interface, I am the second method from the interface, and the method from the third one from the second interface, which is I belong to a different interface. Okay, so in this video we have covered what are Java interfaces, and we have seen how to create interfaces and how to implement them from a class. If you want to download the documentation for this one, you can go to my GitHub repository, which is at Subbu's Tech, and go to Selenium-Java-tutorials, and this tutorial starts with number 14. So search with 14 number, but you will get a lot of results. So this is the first one, Selenium-Java interfaces. So you can download the document here. In the next video we will see some key points on Java interfaces.